First thing the fascists do when they follow the Project 2025 playbook, get rid of the inspectors general, get rid of the Department of Justice personnel. That was their watchdog. Get rid of everybody that was chasing after them for corruption. Yeah, that's what we're watching Donald Trump do right now with a series of shakeups at the Department of Justice. Inspectors General firing prosecutors, firing the Jan 6 investigators, and the rest. Does that make America more safe, more secure, more focused on law and order and the rule of law, or less? I'll let you be the judge. And here we are on the midweek edition of Legal AF After Dark edition, where we debate it.
I want to continue on with this, what Trump is doing by firing people, by moving people. And I really want to dive into that because, he's really just pardoning everybody who's a loyalist to him. The 1,600 pardons that he did to, for the January 6th individuals. It didn't matter who they were. He just said, give them all a pardon. Didn't matter that one guy got rearrested on a felony gun charge. One was dead, has already been killed because he was rearrested and shot and killed because he had a gun. Doesn't matter that, who they are, what they did, or what their past is. He just pardoned everyone because they're loyal to him. And that's what how he views things. So anyone he views as disloyal to him, he is going to fire. So, or investigate or seek retribution and revenge. And so let's start with the inspectors general that he fired, right? He fired, I don't know how many there were. I think it was 17 of them that he fired. And there they go, 17 independent watchdogs. So inspectors general are supposed to be a watchdog or a check on government. And it's something that the Senate really relies on, in particular with their advice and consent roles. And it's a way of having a check on administrative agencies. And there are laws in place that actually require, if you're going to fire them, there's a recent law that was passed, I think a couple of years ago, that basically said, if you're going to fire an inspector general, you have to give 30 days notice, and it has to be for cause. You have to give a reason. And it was specifically passed so a new president can't do exactly what he's doing, but he doesn't care. He did it anyway, right? That's how he does it. Same thing with the civil servants that he's reclassifying or firing. And there are unions and lawsuits coming forward because of that, because he's just trying to he's trying to basically get rid of anyone who he thinks is disloyal. And so the interim United States Attorney, Ed Martin, for the District of Columbia, said he's investigating the prosecutors who worked on January 6 cases. I mean, that's crazy to me, investigating the prosecutors, not to mention the fact that he is conflicted, Ed Martin, because he has an actual conflict of interest. He represented 3 of the January 6 defendants, and he said on Twitter that he has their back. So I don't know how he's doing that, how this is the person who is in charge of the Washington, D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. And these are career people, right, who are still there, who were prosecuting the January 6 cases and working with Jack Smith as special counsel. He is going to investigate them. I mean, it's just crazy. You were not supposed to do that. And, on top of that, they also sent out, a memo essentially offering people a severance package, right? Did you see that, Dina, where they offered him a severance package if they left, voluntarily, essentially? I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And thankfully, there are a lot of lawsuits trying to stop it. Like you mentioned, there's the 3rd lawsuit was filed today to try to stop the reclassification of the Schedule F employees. We kind of referred to the other ones last week. The idea is there's different groups of federal employees. The largest group is a merit-based competitive service class, and they cannot be fired at will. And he wants to change them to an at-will employee. And this union, I mean, you know, I've been in favor of unions for many reasons for many years, usually because of the safety and the wages improve with unions. But this is showing how important unions are, because these unions are helping out these employees by filing the lawsuits to try to protect them, because yet again, there's congressional laws and acts that specifically talk about these categories of employees cannot be at-will employees. So it's not going to be very easy for him to change it. And my heart goes out to these federal employees, you know, and like this, like trying to basically get them to quit, right, en masse, have them come into the office. You know, my dad was a federal employee. He was, you know, an immigrant who came here and served his country. You know, federal employees, lifelong employees, they often, you know, don't get as paid as well as they do in the, you know, corporate private environment. They do it because they care. You know, my dad was in the Department of Health. They do it because they care about the policies, the departments. They tend to be lifelong or for many years because of their knowledge, right? And what they're contributing to the government. And that's seen as a value to the government. And for thousands, I mean, the one today was 50,000 employees we're representing just today. We're talking about a huge group of Americans who have taken a job with the government, are helping us in ways that we can't even all fathom, are being attacked by this president because he wants to do the Project 2025 goal is replacing civil servants with people who will do his bidding, which means that they're not going to care about our EPA rules and regulations. You know, they're not going to care about our health, FDA, you know, food regulations. They're going to do what he wants them to do. That's the stated goal of Project 2025. This is what they're trying to do. But we have laws in place for this. It's not going to be very easy for him. And all these lawsuits filed on behalf of the federal employees. So I think, you know, this is kind of the topic of our show today, right? Trump trying to be his dictator, but lawsuits trying to stop it, because yes, we are not a lawless country, and may have felt like that with the Supreme Court immunity decision, but we're not a lawless country. He's going to test everything, but we have, but we don't have no defense. We have a defense. And these employees, thankfully, have a union who's standing up for them.
Yeah, and even look, it was really interesting too, because putting the individuals who worked with the special counsel and had a role in prosecuting Trump, he just fired them, right? He fired them, and he wrote in their firing that it was as a result of their significant role in prosecuting President Trump. I mean, he said they could not be trusted to assist in faithfully implementing the president's agenda. It'll be interesting to see if that will hold up as for cause. I mean, normally, right?
Do they have a union? Because I know our local DA, our union,
yeah, so they have civil service protections in place. So it has to be merit based. So it'll be interesting to see if it'll just be interesting to see if this succeeds or if anyone appeals it. It's just crazy, right? Like, there goes the pretext that the Department of Justice is independent or separate. I mean, also I also read about a veteran of the DOJ, and DOJ is just one of the many agencies that we're talking about here, right? Where people are being reassigned to Siberia or demoted, or I don't really mean Siberia, but they're being reassigned to what he's doing is he's reassigning people from their jobs to places that will essentially force them to quit, and to extremely undesirable roles, and these are very respected people all across the agencies, not just the Department of Justice, but in the Department of Justice. There's an individual who was extremely highly respected veteran, and he was so respected that his name's Brad Weinsheimer. That he was at the top in the Deputy Attorney General's office, and Jeff Sessions, both Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions put him there. But Trump moved him now because he worked with people who Trump does not like, right? Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr. He has now demoted him, but he's highly respected by everybody. It's extremely, it's like people are just coming out and saying there's no way these are merit-based. This is loyalty-based. And that's just never been done before. That this is going to transform justice and the Department of Justice and science and civil servants for at least the next 4 years. And as you've said, there are people who have institutional knowledge that are career civil servants that if they decide to say it's not worth it, it's not worth the hassle, it's not worth the risk, and it's not worth the retaliation if something were to happen, or if they feel censored or like they can't say anything or they can't say the truth because it goes against Donald Trump's agenda, and so they take their severance and just be done with it. I mean, I know that's part of the plan for Project 2025 and Trump, because they think that that they want to dismantle government, but it would just be really sad. So many people who are served by the public servants are going to be affected by this.
I mean, absolutely. And also recruiting from here on out is going to be a lot tougher, regardless of how these lawsuits go. People don't want to have to feel like the change of a presidency every 4 years is going to affect your job. You know, a lot of people work on policies that are going to be long term. So it's chaos for sure. But that's what his thing is. He's all into the chaos. And hopefully the DOJ union stands up for them as well, as they should. Otherwise, if I were a union member and they weren't standing up for my fellow prosecutor who got fired without cause, I would be upset. But in addition, if this is like their first step to then investigating them, which it sounds like possible, we kind of referenced this before too, like, do they really want to bring these January 6th prosecutors in court to try to prove that they were, weaponizing the justice system? I would love to watch that. I would love to watch these seasoned career prosecutors, Jack Smith and the others with maybe not as big of a name, defend themselves in court and have to prove, you have to prove, right? You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt for convictions. All of that evidence would come out again. Why it was so reasonable to have this prosecution, why they were acting within the law. I don't think that Trump's justice system wants to actually get that far and put any of that evidence. This is just a lot about making it people scared. It's about
they're going to have. You're right. This is like to hassle them.
Yeah.
I don't think they're actually going to bring it because you're 100% right. Then that all comes out in court, and they don't want that. They don't want people to see actually the truth. And where they're sending people who they're demoting and not firing when they want to get them to leave is to go leave what they're doing and have to go prosecute these border cases, these ICE detention border cases. So, I mean, it's just crazy that's what he's doing.
Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. This is Legal AF. We do it twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel for the Midas Touch Network. You're already here on the Legal AF channel as well. Hit the free subscribe button and help us continue our growth to 500,000 by our half birthday. We're almost there. We're humbled by it. You're making your journey part of our journey, or vice versa. I appreciate you for that. If you know everything you need to know about Legal AF and you're already here as in our audience, we are humbled by your involvement with us. We got to join together, speak truth to each other before we can speak truth to power. And it starts here and now. If you don't know about us, I'm making a personal invitation to have you join us on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then on every audio podcast platform of your choice. So until my next Legal AF contribution, I am Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.